break, or should we just keep rolling?
Do it.
Okay. All right.
Jed and Lindsay, if
You guys can just wait right there. We'll do the oaths here real quick, and then we can do the voting. I'm gonna get the people in their chairs.
they can take the oath there, and then they have to sit there anyway,
Yeah.
right? I say come.
Come up here and
Pick
sit
a
down in
seat.
one of the chairs.
Because once you claim the seat, then that's your seat.
All right, I'm one in the middle.
No.
You can sit
John, you can sit here for now,
Sit
Jen.
here.
Okay, good.
No.
Did no one tell you we're all voting for you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna have
Dang
I'll
it.
vote against me.
That's only one. There are 4 other people. Sorry about that.
it. All right, so Jed, if you want to stand up here. I'll have you read this.
I, Jed Schoenfeller of Parkson School District, number 33.3, have been elected as a Board of Educator member of the above named school district. In the above named county of South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the laws and Constitution of the United States of America and of South Dakota, and to faithfully perform the duties of a school board member of my membership.
So, I'll have you sign right there. For me. Here, Lindsay.
I, Lindsay Weber of the Parkson School District number 33.3, have been appointed as a Board of Education member of the above named school district in the above named county, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the laws and Constitution of the United States and the state of South Dakota, and to faithfully perform the duties of school board membership.
Yep, I'll have you sign there with the star.
Is that acting as your stamp? Well, I guess we go with that part.
Yeah.
My fault. Yeah, neither one of them.
No backing out now, you're official. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is to vote or nominate. Nominate for president of the board. Is there any nominations?
I'd like to make a comment here, Craig, if I could. I had contacted individually Matt and Jill last week, and asked them that I be not put as president or vice president nomination. And not because I don't think I'm capable, certainly with my years of experience, but being of the age of 66 and a little older, I thought with me not having kids in school, like you all do potentially, and even more, that maybe the community at times might think I'm a little out of touch. And so I think I can still help the board immensely here. As Barb said privately to me here a little bit before she left, I have helped her out a lot this past couple, 3 years. And certainly with our new members, with you needing a little bit of learning curve, which makes sense, that certainly we have 2 capable people here, Matt and Jill, that I think will do a fine job. So I just wanted to make that mention. So, and whether it's right, wrong, or different, you agree or don't agree, we've got a great board here. We've got great members here, and I think I can serve that capacity. So.
My only comment would be is obviously, I mean, Jed and Lindsay, you guys really raw in the whole process yet, and John making a declaration that he has, and so Matt and Jill, just understand too. I understand that that's can be considered to be a tough spot to be in. You guys don't know me well yet. I don't know you guys well yet, but I am used to helping that person. Probably some people would say way more than I should from the superintendent's chair. So whatever you guys decide, you know, you're not gonna be thrown to the wolves. You're not gonna be left to it to your own devices. I mean, we'll have a lot of conversations and a lot of direction that I'm gonna supply to not only that president and vice president, but to the board as a whole too. It's just kind of who I am. I'm a hands-on guy. You know, you see in some school districts where this guy sits here and doesn't say a word. Sorry, that's not gonna be me because I can't help myself. So there'll be a lot of support. So I just want you guys to know that if you're apprehensive about taking on that opportunity, don't be, and it'll be okay, because I'll be there with you. So
Appreciate that.
Okay. So we wanna, is there any nomination
I'll nominate Joe
Joe for president?
for president, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. I feel like there's some things you want to get nominated for, I'm not sure. That's okay, man. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other nominations? Okay, so I don't know that we need to.
technically, you should have a second to that, because
Okay.
you're operating under
Okay.
Robert's Rules of Orders. So somebody would have to second Matt's motion
I
to
second that
nominate.
motion.
Okay.
We usually just always
And the
vote, so
easy-
haven't we, John?
Yes, we have.
So I'll have to get this in there. Seconded by.
The easier way to do that is to make the motion with the notion of you cast a unanimous ballot, so that way you don't even have to go through that process, and if that gets seconded, then everybody votes, boom, done deal. So you
So-
don't have to do that, but you can do it this way too.
The motion on the floor is nomination for Jill Nebel as president, seconded by Lindsay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Why do you only look at me when you say that?
Motion carried. Congratulations, Jill.
Thank you.
You may take the seat up there.
Okay.
Do I have any nominations for vice president?
Matt?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor of Matt Leishner as vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Now, Jill and Matt, before we leave, I will need you guys to sign a blank sheet of paper so I can get you a signature stamp. And you will both have to go down to the bank to sign the signature card at the bank. Okay? So authorized so that you can put your signature on the checks.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay?
Congrats, Matt.
We're both like, thanks. Thank you. That's a good seat, by the way, because almost no one can ever see your face, so. Yeah, so you can make all kinds of faces.
Welcome to the board.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, guys.
Okay, so Jill, I'll let you go ahead and take over from here.
So yeah, you should be on item 17 then, is what you're gonna be then, approve the agenda. Now we're moving into that second half of the meeting. That's where I'll add that addition, so.
Okay, well,
But, yeah,
this will
there-
be a learning experience for me. I've never done that, so.
I'll help you here
Okay.
too. So there will be that addition that we were gonna put, I misspoke on that. So that would be approving the rates for our home. So that comes on this part of that agenda, okay? So if you wanna write that in there, it technically falls.
So typically in the future, will you have an additional sheet that will add in where it goes with the, didn't we have that, Craig?
What's that?
Where we used to have a sheet that if anything got added, it would say where it was gonna be,
Yes, that was
right?
yep.
So that you could just
Yeah.
kind of read it. Is that what we'll do?
Which
Yeah.
we didn't have that until 4 o'clock today. This is
It's
one
fine.
addition.
I don't, I
Yep.
just, so I know, like, when I'm reading it, that I know where it's at, that's all.
Yeah,
Just
I
so
mean,
it's not like a dig
there'll
down.
be a semblance, a proper order for you to follow
Okay.
there, so you are aware of how the flow is going to be,
Mhm.
so.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, that's, all you need is a motion now to
Motion
approve.
to
that.
approve the agenda.
Yep.
So moved.
Second?
Now this is the agenda with changes, with addition, right?
Yes,
Okay. Moved by Schoenfelder. Gotta get these names. I gotta get practice typing. I'm sorry.
First meeting, I had to change it.
What's that?
I said last year you forgot to put me on.
I know I did. Moved by Schoenfelder, second by Leichner, to approve the agenda with changes. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, next thing on the agenda is conflict of interest disclosures and waiver requests, which I don't,
so I think, now that we know probably Barb is not here on acting on your board, and there was that conflict there that she had. Jed and Lindsay, what that means for you is for you to stop and think about if there's any relationship of which you are benefiting monetarily from, we do business with a vendor, this, that, and the other. So there's a declaration. Just because there's a conflict of interest doesn't mean that it can't happen. It's just that it's becoming known to public, it's becoming known to the board members. And there's a form, I didn't find the form that you're supposed to technically fill out that has that declaration on it. And then if we would present it to the board, the rest of the board, they can have a conversation and they can say yay or nay to the conflict of interest. So,
And there's a dollar amount, I mean.
they're typically, yeah, I mean, it's the threshold.
I think it's
don't remember what the
or 5,000.
Yeah, the threshold is
In the
pretty sig-
year, right?
Yeah.
It's 5,000
Yes,
in the year.
yeah. It's a significant amount. You know, some school districts go over the board on this concept, and just because I got a cousin, this, that, and the other, and it's like, this is more monetary benefit on anybody's part, you know, before they enter into those pay the bills, vendor relationships that it's declared.
So hers was because her husband worked for places that we pay?
Okay.
Yes.
So just to give you an example of like, if we were thinking like, what would that be? That would be an example. And then, so if something would come up, say like right away they don't identify it, but then in a meeting they identify, oh, that is, then we can address it then, right? So like if something comes up later that you have, you're like, oh, that is a conflict for me, then you can say
With my
that.
sister-in-law working for the district, would that ever have a place or a bearing?
That notion is, so when it comes to things like negotiation, things of that nature, that it's revealed
Yes.
that you have that relationship.
Mhm.
Does it actually qualify to the extent of the law where that's a conflict of interest? No, it doesn't meet that criteria, but that's just more of a, I guess the appropriate way to handle those situations is that there is that declaration so people know. So, and I don't know that that's the necessity to fill out the form because
Okay.
they're not benefiting in that capacity, so.
Perfect.
So at this stage, 18, that there
We're
is
good?
cited
Okay.
that there is none.
Okay. All right, we'll move to the next thing. Approve the consent agenda 2. A is designate legal depository and official newspaper. You want me to read through all of these, right? Yes. B, establish board pay, per diem, mileage rate. C, appoint manager of local funds. D,
Well, do you want me to read what
Who it is?
the actuals are and stuff too?
Do-
I could do that, Jill, and read them this
Yeah.
way.
that's fine.
Because you don't have all the information on those
I
blue sheets.
have it here. Do you want me to read that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are the
okay.
ones, yes.
All
'Cause that'll
right.
tell you what the per diem is gonna be, what the.
I understand now, okay.
Okay.
A is designate legal depository and official newspaper. We recommend Farmers State Bank as a depository and the Parkston Advance as the official newspaper. B, establish board pay, per diem mileage rate. We recommend board pay be established at $75 per meeting and committee meeting not to exceed $1,500 for the year and per diem mileage at the state rate. C, appoint manager of local funds, which is Craig Bruning. D, appoint manager of federal funds, which is Patrick McKinnon. E, designate legal counsel for the Parkston School District is Braley Law with a retainer of $2,000. E, set bond for business manager, $50,000. Designate business manager authority to invest funds is Craig Bruning. G is authorize certain fund allowance and expenditures. We continue to recommend $7,500 for the impressed fund, $500 for the change fund, and $50 for petty cash. H, set election date, June 7, 2022. Election date for,
Next year's board
okay, gotcha.
election for.
All right, I,
positions.
list all employees and salaries to be in compliance with SDCL 6-1-10. J, approve reimbursement rates. The rates are included on the enclosed document. Those in red are recommended changes from last year. K, authorize use of signature stamps for president, vice president, business manager, and authorize the vice president to sign in absence of the president. L, approve Avera PACE membership. This is a purchasing cooperative. M, authorize superintendent to approve open enrollment applications. N, establish meeting dates and times, second Monday of each month with a starting time of 6:30, which can be amended by the board as needed. O, designate truancy officer, age discrimination compliance officer, Americans with Disabilities Act Compliance Officer, Section 504 Compliance Officer, and Title 10 Compliance Officer. Superintendent is designated as the Truancy Officer, Age Discrimination Compliance Officer, ADA Compliance Officer, and the Title 10, it's 10, right?
It's 9.
9, sorry, Compliance Officer. The building principals are the 504 Compliance Officer. Set driver's education fee, we recommend charging $200 and pay the instructor $110 per student. Q is approved Title III Consortium Agreement. This is a statewide consortium for English language learners. R, approved audit quote at $8,700.
And that is actually $9,800.
It's gonna be 98. yeah.
Okay.
We learned of that late too on Friday.
Because of our ESSER funding, now we have to do an additional audit because our federal funds are over $500,000 for the year.
Okay. S, request pickup points pursuant to SDCL 13-28-45. A quote, receiving school district and the resident school district shall annually approve the pickup locations for those students within any incorporated municipality, unquote. The recommendation is to utilize the same locations as this past year in former Agland Co-op building in Delmont and the Dakota Plains elevator in Tripp.
Lindsay, Jed, do you guys have any
Yeah.
any questions on any of those?
Is our audit quote from Shane Fisher?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Clarification on the reimbursement rates, would be we're just gonna leave them from last year, correct? No
No,
changes?
as far as
Which reimbursements made?
The board
The whole
members?
list, no.
no, this whole list. No, there's the ones in red. So you can go over those real quick.
This document?
Yeah.
Yes.
So red's what we had last year.
Okay, I looked at that in
Oh, yeah,
This
I
here,
looked at that.
right? Okay. So we are going to change.
Fine.
My recommendation is to change
Find it.
5.
It should be in there.
It's the right before the peach color. It's like
Should be in that stuff that we sent out there.
right there. There it is.
Ah, there you go. Yep.
So this is the history. I give you 5 years worth. Okay.
Keep going. Oh, Lindsay, you just had it.
You just it's like right in front of that peach
Yep.
colored one.
There we go.
Yeah. There you go.
So and I leave it colored for this purpose so you can see when we change some of these last, okay? And you know, the top ones we haven't changed, and should they be more? Mr. Mickey and I went through this list, and he's like, "You guys are low, but we still get people to do it." But compared to what he's used to seeing, some of these, yeah, yep, those top ones, like the football officials, the JV officials, you know, junior high, and stuff like that.
Pat, what are you doing up there? Right here, prior school.
Well,
Double?
yeah, pretty close. Yep,
Really?
twice the amount. Yep, depending on, we pay a little bit different for junior high than the CJV stuff whenever that comes into play. But, yeah, I mean, even the line judges. I mean, if you look at every aspect on there, you know, I don't think we do anything, or we had not done anything probably less than $20 for any one particular item that they were paid for doing that. But
Now,
I think it's
I have
all
one
relative.
question
Yep, I
for
think
you.
it's relative. So
With yours,
Yep.
would you let a junior high kid be your 7th and 8th grade scorer in timer, or did it have to be adults?
no, we high school at times, but other than that, we did mostly high school, or excuse me, adults if we could find
Because
them.
for the most part, I would say those $10 ones that you're looking at, those are all kids.
Sure. Yeah.
Usually those are, for the most part, kids. Now, the volleyball tourney, you know, that's one game compared to
Yeah.
2 and 8 or whatever. The tournament timers ones, because
When we
those
do it,
sets.
we get paid the 60.
What's
When
that?
when I work a tournament, I get
Because there was 6 games,
yeah.
Yeah. it's too much.
but there are 6 games of 3 sets instead of 5 sets too.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why it was only is where it's at on that one. But I never did tell you that, Pat. But a lot of times our
Like
chain
me,
gangers
I
are
do,
all
'cause I'm already
sometimes they're
doing
even
that.
elementary kids
Yeah.
running the chain gangs and stuff like that. So I mean, we can take this off and look at it if you want and change. We don't. You could set them in August. You could take that and just take that off and.
Do we have troubles finding people?
Mr. Yost, oh wait, he's not here. He found kids to do it. I mean, I don't know.
And most of the adults who do it
That's-
are there already.
The adults that are doing it are gonna do it probably for what they're doing it now for,
Yeah.
or they're gonna do it for I mean, we don't, he was used to having to go up to DWU and finding kids to do it. We've never done
Yeah.
that, ever. It's the same guys doing it over and over.
I
Is it-
would say, like,
Is it getting less and less? Yes.
yeah, I'm kind of get put in charge of finding a high school kid to go do this or do that, and I don't think the pay is why it's harder to find them. I just don't think the kids really want to do it. But there's always the ones you go to that you can get. Other officials, like Mr. Bruning was saying, our basketball officials, that's just, they're happy to help out with the program. That's their thought, not, boy, I really need the money. On the other hand, is it nice to get a little extra?
We did, we changed it 2 years ago. That's why I left it alone. But we can do
Yeah, I don't
whatever.
have any comment, I was just clarifying.
Yep.
we were changing that.
Yep.
This was all in the
Yes.
contract, correct? Or the,
The down below the reds, yeah. Lunch duty, that's $7.50. That's in negotiated agreement. So the food service substitute, we try to keep that a little bit under what our starting wage is. And I'm recommending just a nickel under. But the reason why is because is there really much difference between a substitute for a classified? It's still considered a classified position, okay? And next to the classified substitutes and the teacher substitutes, this is a difference along with the long term. That used to be per period, okay? And it used to be $10.75 and $12. And then there was $10.75 without a certificate and $12 with a certificate. Well, all of our substitutes the certificate does not have to be active. As long as they've had a certificate, we paid them $12 per period. A period is a 45-minute period. Okay, so we just got rid of that. We just went by the hour for everything, and I adjusted the rates accordingly because in a school day, a substitute teacher is here from 8:15 to 3:15, and that's, you take a half an hour out lunch out of that, that's 6.5 hours. So $16 an hour is actually a little bit more than what they were making, like $8 more a day than what they were making a day. The $12 for classified, they're 6.5 hour. And then we were just going to have them punch in and out every day. It would help our secretaries out tracking, because sometimes they don't always know when they leave the classroom, if they're here for just 2 periods, or especially in the elementary end. Mr. Norton's end's a lot easier because it's a lot easier to go by periods down there. But down here in the elementary end, you got to figure out what time they left and what time they came, and then you got to take your little chart and compare it to Mr. Norton's side of 45 minutes and get them the same. Well, this just simplifies things a little easier. And we'll just have them punch in and out, just like a classified person
Why
does.
is the staff lunch and adult lunch in orange? Did you say that if I missed
Oh, I
it?
haven't got there yet.
Okay.
I didn't change it, but I just wanted to, it was for me to remind to talk about. So any questions on those substitutes? The long term is, I think, another $8 more than, it was $144 a day. And I think that was $18 an hour before, and now it's 24, and I think that's like 156.
What constitutes long-term?
10 days. And we have stuff in our,
Consecutive.
yes.
It's not accumulated
Yep.
10 over time. You have to serve 10.
There's a deal in negotiated agreement. It's a long drawn out process of if they miss a day, then they can go 2 days without it. It's fun tracking. So, but they got to have 10 consecutive before they hit that.
Okay.
Then after that, they can miss and get back to that rather quickly. They don't have to go another 10 days if they do happen to get sick.
and that's in one classroom.
Yes, for one specific person. Yeah, not 10 different, they can't substitute for 10 different teachers in 10 consecutive days. No, it's the same.
It's illness, it's pregnancy, it's
Yes. Yep.
family issue, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, and the only reason I brought the staff bunch up down there is for the maybe elementary teachers, or I should say female teachers compared to male teachers maybe. They don't really get anything special more than what the high school student gets. And with our food service balance the way it is, do they need to pay more than what a high school student is getting for the exact same stuff? That's why I had the orange around it.
The high school student's gonna eat more than the adult is, I guarantee it. And
I-
you're charging that person more
We
than what you're charging.
we bumped it up a while back for some reason. I don't know why. I think if I do remember right, it didn't show in here, but it was because an adult that came in like to eat with their child, which with COVID we didn't allow as much. They had to pay $5, and the teacher was paying $3.60, so they met at $4. But a little elementary, I mean, female, they get the same stuff. Should it be the same or not? I don't know. I guess that's why I had an orange.
What percentage of teachers?
We don't have a lot of teachers. We probably had more last year with COVID than anything, but I think that was because they weren't paying for the kids' meals. So
I would say in the high school, we probably got, if you're trying to average it out,
I'd say
4 to 5 a day.
I'd say 10 to 15 at
I
the
mean,
most a day.
On the good days, we might get 8, but there are days where we only have 1 or 2.
So you want to keep it? at
Well, I left it
low?
as is, but I just wanted to bring that up. They're not. Some of them aren't getting anything different.
So we should lower it to
Or we can leave it alone too, but I just wanted to, as a talking point, to let you know that maybe it shouldn't be on a consent agenda. I'm sorry, Mr. McKinnon, maybe we should have taken that off, but with the new board members, we're trying to explain more than anything right now to you guys, the history. So, I mean, I left it alone, but if our food balance we do have to charge and cover because it is considered a a la carte item. So because we're receiving federal money and stuff like that, you got to make sure you're at least covering the cost and and more than what.
So like if you recommended,
Student.
what would it?
Jill,
Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? I'm thinking here, processing here, you have to have disparities according to National School Lunch Program. I don't know that, I think there has to be a disparity between a student meal and an adult meal.
disparity for monetary value or food wise?
The monetary value. I'm almost positive
Okay.
that you cannot equalize that on the cost of
Okay.
what you're charging people. And you can't even, there has to be disparities once you set it between even high school and then middle school and middle school and elementary. I mean, as those increments go, you have to keep that increment change. It has to be applied to all. But I don't think you can allow an adult to eat for the same amount as a student. I could be wrong.
And what's the student charge? What is it?
$3.05. Before it used to be $3.60. I just know that. I'm fine. I just.
Let's not add in an inordinate amount of dollars to your already
No, I know.
fund
But-
balance that you have in there. The question is, are you putting anybody, from the adult perspective, working for you? Are you putting them at a disadvantage? I guess my question is, if nobody's really complained about the $4, whoever
No.
does eat here, Mr. Norton has said that it's not like a plethora of people, that those people
No.
probably do not have an issue with paying the current $4 as it is. So if you leave it, I don't see an issue with that, so.
Dish and entree still staying the same. Milk. All the food service ones are staying the same, like because of our balance.
Yes.
Any other questions on that? Jed, you had one circled. Do you guys have any other questions on any of those bulleted? On the blue list, I noticed is there just anything
No, nothing.
that Jill read off on any of those that you guys want more clarification on?
Mr. McKinnon, are you okay with, like, are you okay with being the different officers? that they're
Yeah, it's
mentioning there?
pretty typical. I mean, schools
Okay.
our size is filling all those compliance roles and responsibilities. Yeah, I mean, it's just part of it, so I don't have an issue with that, but thanks for asking. So,
Sure.
Those are things you've done before, I'm sure.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Those were just added to the hats that were on, so.
Yeah, E, just
Yes.
for.
Oh, yeah.
Just for the new board members.
Reminder myself.
Letter E.
Put
Yeah.
our calendar dates in.
And
Oh.
for Mr. Mickenen too, we have just a retainer with Braley, so he'll answer questions for us. Let's say Mr. Mickenen will call Braley down there on a point or two. He won't charge us anything for a lot of just simple questions. If he does get involved in some type of legal activity, then there might be extra charges about that.
Sure.
And you're gonna be typically billed by the hour. So
Right.
I don't know what his hourly rate is, but, I mean, be prepared for, I'm used to working for $175 an hour,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, we'll move to number 20, action.
So
item.
we
So
actually need
Need a
a
motion.
motion to approve that one.
Approve all of those,
All of those
Okay.
questions.
basically
Or
A
those
through letter S.
All right,
is
I need a
what that
motion to approve consent agenda
Yes.
to A through
Yes.
S.
So moved.
T, A through T.
Moved by Leichner and seconded by Weber to approve the consent agenda as read. Any other discussion?
I just, for the new members, do you understand open enrollment? Okay.
All right, we'll move to number 20, action items. Committee appointments. Committee appointments will be
Okay,
made.
so my fault,
Or-
so, because we circled back, so let's circle back to that conversation that I didn't want to, well, Jim, I didn't want to,
Oh, the
This
extra
is
Yeah,
a change,
education.
yep.
so
Change.
back
Okay.
to Eric and Adam and my report. So I'll start with my report. So if you can, find these documents. If you did not get a chance, this is typically what I do. So you'll see the information about homeschooling, okay, which Jed and Lindsay, you'll hear that term, that's the slang term in my opinion. Homeschooling is actually public school exemption. That's the legal term that people should use. So when people want to educate their own children, they're asking for a public school exemption. Typically, they end up homeschooling their child, right? However they want to do that, but it's a public school exemption. And then those other documents that follow that, there's a couple pages there, it says temporary alternative instruction notification form. And I'll circle back to this, but I just want to make sure you understand what forms I'm referencing when we go through these things point by point. Then there's safe to in return person instruction. Then there's the American Rescue Plan. That's the 8-question template that I included in your packet. And then after that, there is the rubric for evaluating that the ARP plan. And then at the very end of that, then there should be a little bit of a colored sheet. And I'll just end with that, my portion of it, talking about our Associated School Boards and the School Administrators Joint Conference. So, yeah, so what I like to do for you guys, again, I think I pointed out that more information is better. If you ever get addressed on the street, which probably doesn't happen, it didn't really happen a lot where I came from, but I like to have you guys be informed. If anything, it's in the know and it's an awareness, so you have an idea of terms that people are using. Not that, again, people in the public would understand this either, but there's nothing more, I think, as a board member, confusing, irritating, anything. Somebody comes up and asks you a question and you got that deer in the headlight look and you're like, should I, shouldn't I don't know. And the easiest response to that is, I'm not exactly sure on that, but I know who you can go talk to, and that would be Mr. Mickenen or Mr. Norton or Mr. Fisher about whatever it is that they're confronting you with or whatever it is that they're asking you about. So just that mentality, if you're receiving phone calls, if you ever get a conversation, if you ever been asked a question, hopefully we can give you enough information that you could address it the best that you possibly could, or at least then your appropriate answer would be, a canned response would be, I'm not exactly sure on that, but I know one of the 3 administrators can answer that question for us. So with that, the homeschooling activities, basically there's an email from Department of Ed on there, and then there's the DOE document, and then the form. There again, that's an awareness on your part, understanding that Senate Bill 177 has kind of opened that door for those students that do not want to attend school to participate in your activities programs. You don't have any wherewithal or authority to say, no, you're not. They will. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go through this. I include this information for your understanding, and you can all read, that you can read through it. And if you had specific questions, you could ask me about, okay, what does this part mean? So, and guys, I'm perfectly fine with this. I understand you're all busy. You've got lives outside of this. So if we ever get into a conversation in the months ahead and you didn't get a chance to go through in depth, don't be afraid to ask me in the immediacy. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to read through these documents. If there's some specific points I want to make to you about these types of situations or this type of information, I will make that known to you. I think the biggest thing about this concept, if you look at that second sheet, it says homeschooling. It's actually the third sheet behind that. It says school district responsibilities. It outlines what our responsibility is. There's going to be a portal that parents are going to have to get on Department of Ed site. They're going to have to go in there and put their information in there about, and I'm guessing a lot of it's going to be demographic. So they have an awareness, the Department of Ed and the Activity Association has awareness of these kids that are staying home, public school exemption, and then are going to attend whatever institution their community they're living in and play athletics or participate in your activities. So we have certain responsibilities with that, but parents also have responsibilities to make sure that their student is doing that. And I noticed some dates in some of this stuff, and it's coming pretty soon, that they have to do some declarations, the parents, about whether they're gonna homeschool their child and whether that child is going to participate in activities. So if you get asked on that conversation, again, direct them to us or say, I know that there's some timelines there that you have to meet if you're gonna do it. And again, the portal, I don't think the portal opens till July 20th is what it said in there. That parent will actually have to go in there and do that. Not us, the parent.
So if they're late on that?
I don't think it's hard, fast, and it's not drawing a line in the sand, John. I think it's something that we'll probably have to have some conversation, only for the simple fact that it's all new.
Sure.
And if we're gonna be obstinate and
Sure.
say, you didn't meet the letter of the law here, so to speak, then we're gonna draw that line in the sand.
Right.
I don't know that that's gonna end well for you. You're just gonna end up in a disagreement that you're probably not gonna end up winning any because of the codified law that's just been adopted.
Craig, do you know how many homeschool kids you have?
No, I do not.
I'm just curious.
Sorry.
Yeah, so when I talked to Julie about that, we went through those applications. We're somewhere between, last year, I believe you had 15 homeschool. Now that was K through 12.
Okay.
15 public school exemptions that you had on that. A majority, there was a few high school kids on that, but a majority of them
That was
were-
just applications. There could have been multiple kids on those.
I went through the.
Or is that the 15 kids?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because her and I counted
Sure.
on that, and there's a couple there that probably have multiple children, but then there was
Some that did.
yeah, one.
Right.
So I would say that the better part of 15 students that live in the district that parents have chosen to
Okay.
school from home.
So I assume that portal controls where they can participate in activities. I mean,
Well, that's
can they
another.
theoretically open enroll. I mean,
That's a great question, because they can open enroll. And if a district will receive them and they stay in, let's just say somebody in the Ethan School District inquires about open enrolling here, you can approve the open enrollment, but wants to homeschool. Why you would do that, I'm not exactly sure. But there is that notion that can happen. Yeah, but then on the rest of the law and how it's written now, it's still gonna apply. But now they're basically, essentially, they're playing on your sports team.
right.
Rather than that
Exactly.
sports
That's
team.
what I was.
Yeah.
So
But you don't have to accept the open, I take that back. I'd have to read the letter of the law, because technically you can't refuse an open enrollment. The only reason you can is from a SPED perspective, where there's services you cannot provide. Other
Right.
than that, you can't just say, we don't want you, we don't approve that one. You have to approve that. So it's a slippery slope. It's making it difficult. Jill, you had a question maybe?
So how, how do students that are homeschooled, how do they, it says right in this note here, when it comes to
Looking at the email,
participation
yep.
in activities, homeschool students should be held to the same standards and rules as enrolled students. So how do you make sure that their grades are acceptable
That's the
or that they're doing the work at all?
That's the heartburn, because all they have to do is the parent stipulates and sign a piece of paper that they're involved in 20 hours of schooling a week, and we have no authority, we have no recourse to say anything different. We have to accept that, and that statement that it says there, that they should be held to the same standards or rules as enrolled students, that was the whole crux of the matter when the law was being debated last January through March, that there's no way for public schools to hold their feet to the fire, so to speak, but it didn't get anywhere. So that's a statement that probably has shards of truth in it, but there's no way to do it. There is no enforceable
What I heard on
action.
that, Jill, is basically the homeschool would have, I do a weekly grade report, they would have to send me those grades every week.
And how do they grade them?
That is, it
It's a-
doesn't matter.
However they want to?
So as long as I get an email that says they've got an A, an A, an A, and a B.
So
okay,
it's on the parents' honor system.
It is.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's actually more than what we've ever had in the past. Right now, in homeschool, we have no idea what they're
Oh.
doing. At least there they can,
Sure. So there hasn't been
But
any.
they weren't participating.
no,
Right.
unless they were for,
There hasn't been any discussion about like certain testing, or they have to come in so many times a year, or make sure that they're meeting certain standards, or.
In fact, that was part of the law. Senate Bill 177 took all the testing off the table. Not only can we hold them accountable, not only can we not hold them accountable for their schoolwork, now we can't even test them. We used to test in grades 4, 8, and 11 and Smarter Balanced. Not anymore. They don't have to do any state testing anymore or prove any of that, according to Senate Bill 177.
sorry,
You're wondering, how did that get through? Is that what you're wondering?
Well, I guess I'm just like, as a school, we have to report people who don't do what they're supposed to do, but then we could know that it's not happening, but we can't do anything about it, right?
Nope.
And the kids are the ones that are being hurt out of the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
But
wanna
you're
make
holding
sure.
all of your kids that are in school, face-to-face learning, to this standard.
I mean,
and
it's
then-
fine, because they're benefiting from
Yes,
that, which,
absolutely.
whatever, but that's a little bit crazy, but okay.
That conversation should have happened between
How-
January and March of last year.
Were there
And it did.
educators involved in that?
Oh,
decision?
absolutely, to great detail, so. And the Activity Association was well on board with supporting the school aspect and the accountability. But the faction that won out on that situation was the homeschool lobbyist. I mean, that's what prevailed, so. So that's the homeschool. The back-to-school plan, and that was the form, so I put that in there, just so you had to look to see what it looked like. That's what the parents have to fill out. The safe to in return instruction, because of ARP, we have to have, which you do have, you have the back-to-school plan from a year ago. It's on the school website. We have to go through a rubric, and if you see that, what's the not the rubric, but the checklist. It's this sheet where you see all those little circles. All of those little circles on those 2 pages have to be embedded within the plan in some way, shape, or form. So my plan is to bring that committee back together and have conversations. We'll have this document out, we'll have the plan out, and we're gonna do a little vetting there. We're gonna do a little crosswalk and see, okay, what's the plan missing? And if we include it in the plan and get it posted by August 20th, then we're in compliance with ARP. That's the first leg we have to jump through. The second one is this American Rescue Plan where you see those 8 narratives. Also engaging the question, or those committee members in these particular questions to address the ARP plan. The problem, not the problem. Keep in mind, this is designed, the ARP was a byproduct when the Biden administration got elected and put into office. how many millions of kids haven't been to school in the better part of, well, going on 16, 17 months now? So they wrote the law from the perspective of trying to get schools open and get kids back into school. South Dakota doesn't fit that model. So nonetheless though, in order for us to comply, we still have to jump through the paperwork hoops and embed or answer the narratives in it, and I have to upload it into grants management, and then it's gonna get reviewed by the Department of Ed, and I'm almost positive we're probably gonna get it back because they don't like an answer in one particular question or another. But that's just part of the process we're gonna go through. So the committee is gonna come in that last week of July, we just have to pick a date. I heard from everybody that was on the original committee, and once we get that solidified, we'll go through these 2 sets of documents. With the notion, we'll bring that to you guys in August, at the August 9th board meeting. The stipulation they're really weighing on is that it has to be vetted by a school board, and it has to be vetted in public. So we'll go through those back to school plans again. We'll go through this narrative. Not, I mean, we're not gonna sit here and read through everything, but people have an opportunity to weigh in on it and look at the plan. And then we'll go from there, because it has to be on the website by August 20th in order to be in compliance. Both of those two. The old plan with changes, if there are any, and then this new ARP plan, both have to be visible on there. And I just included the rubric that that's what they're gonna vet it against. That ARP plan, this is the things that are gonna have to be in there. There's some cause for concern in there because some of the stuff that they're trying to hang their hat on, especially one of the learning loss, is about, which I understand and I fully agree with, as far as finding scientifically based research, materials, resources, programming, in order to say this is how we're going to do that. We're going to use these types of products to help our students with learning loss. And I think we'll be able to come up with some ideas there because they give us some ideas to take a look at. But again, it's just a process we're going to have to go through with that committee team. So I'm hoping we can get it done in a day, but if we don't, I guess all the board or all those committee members may shoot me. But
Mr. McKinnon?
Yes, sir.
If we do this, which we have to,
Yes.
and let's say 1 or 2 items are not acceptable, does that affect our ESSER money that we're getting?
No, because the Department of Ed is going to vet it once we have it posted, and I upload that into grants management when ARP or ESSER 3 is open in grants management. And I know you don't know what that is, but it's just a system I have to upload the plans into. Then they will give us the opportunity to go back and forth with that, make whatever changes are relevant and stuff like that. I fully suspect a lot of school districts will put something on paper, send it in, tell me what's wrong with it, and I'll fix it. But is it going to have an overall impact on the dollars?
Okay.
Nope.
Because our whole new renovation plan is...
Nope. Nope. It could if you didn't comply.
Okay.
And if you were, irresponsible, in this effort. But I mean, we'll get there.
Okay.
So that's that, and then the last one is this little document, and this is more for, well, all of you, I guess, but Jed and Lindsay. There is a joint conference, and it's called the Associated School Boards, which is your parent organization, and School Administrators, which is our parent organization for your administration team. Every first week in August, that's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they have this conference. And I typically go every year. I've had board members in the past go. I would bring it to your attention because there is a new board workshop and there's a new board president workshop that one could entertain.
Like that was a suggestion.
Yeah, well, entertain about attending if you found the opportunity to do that. So I have no preference, you guys. I mean, I encourage board members to do it. In some respects, most of the time, the new board members that I've had, they went, and I think they were the one time was probably enough. Some people go to it religiously as far as board members. It just kind of depends on what your life is and what other opportunity or what other things you have to deal with. I know you're all working people, so. But Wednesday, August 4th, that's not on that. But this is, I didn't make copies of this, so I'm bringing your attention to the fact that there's a new school board member workshop. 3 to 4:30 on Wednesday, August 4th, if you are interested. That school board president workshop then takes place from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And that's supposed to, it says presidents and vice presidents is what it says for that workshop on August 4th. So, and then you see August 5th and August 6th is the agenda there, those things, and the Associated School Boards breaks that up in accordance to governance and leadership and student and things like that. So it's kind of a dynamic where you can attend certain things in a particular area.
Where is this located at, Mr.
This
Mayor?
is at the Premier Center or the
Okay.
Convention Center is where it typically is held at.
How much does this cost?
If you register before Friday,
It's $125.
$25. If you
$25.
don't, if it's after the 16th of July, it's $185.
And the school pays.
Yep,
Yes.
school pays
It
for it,
costs
school
you
pay you to
nothing.
stay over there.
If you
Pay
want
for the
to
room.
make a mini vacation out of it,
Yep.
that people stay. I used to do that when my kids were little, but I go back and forth now. Driving an hour is not a big deal to me. So, and even if you went for a portion of one day, it is what it is. I guess if you can attend any of it, it's just the experience, and then you can judge for yourself whether you need to do that again. And if you can't make it this year, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I will say, Mr. Holbeck, who is a long-term superintendent, he's the board development director at the Associated School Boards. He just retired here a couple years ago. He was Harrisburg superintendent. You'll be highly entertained about how to be a new board member and all the legalities and how you should and you shouldn't. He's just that type of guy. I mean, he's a good guy and he's highly intelligent and he certainly knows what he's doing as far as interactions and trying to prepare you guys as school board members, the do's and the don'ts with that. So think about it. You don't have to decide tonight if you want to. Just tell Craig and then get to us by Friday and then we can register you. And even if it's for a portion of it, guys, don't quibble about that. I mean, do what you can. If you can't do it, that's not the end of the world either. So, okay. Sorry, but that's what you're kind of going to have to get used to with me a little bit. Probably not to that in depth, but the first time being it, there's just some things here, especially the things that we have to do to get ready for school. So.
Since it's your, do you still want, you said something about talking about the board packet itself.
Oh yeah, that was the last thing on my, thank you. Just three other topics, sorry. Medical marijuana, I gave that to you. That was for you to read. I just handed it out. It's that document that got a staple in it. Yeah, if you want to be entertained.
It was on the table when we got here, so
Yeah.
it was extra. You guys.
Jed and Lindsay, I didn't give it to you. Here you go.
You guys probably didn't get
Yep,
one.
there you go. If you want some late night reading,
Perfect. I have nothing better.
yeah. It's entertainment though. I mean, because it's pretty straightforward reading. It's administrative rule is what it's citing. So these are the rules that are going to govern and abide medical marijuana in schools. So I thought it was interesting, and it's something we'll probably circle back to because we do not have formal policy at this stage of the game.
They
So
are going to allow it on the school.
yeah, read it and then circle it with questions if you have it coming back. I wanted you to know the transgender policy that you adopted last June, or not last June, just in June. Mr. McIntosh had you do that. Just the advisement there, we haven't done nothing with it. You have a policy, but we were advised by SESD and Associated School Boards not to adopt a policy for the simple fact that it potentially could open you up to civil liability. And I know Office of Civil Rights and United States Department of Ed just came down with some rulings about transgender, and that essentially you cannot discriminate against those people. So, as such as our governors, essentially, making drawing a line in the sand is what they can and cannot do, that they have to play in their biological sex. So we'll see. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The board packet, Craig and I talked about it. I've changed your board agenda just a little bit as to what the appearance is. You probably wouldn't notice for the most part, but we want to know in the office what is the best format for distribution. I essentially told Craig, I said, we're killing a lot of trees here, which is in a packet, but you know, if you want it hard copy, you want it digital, I want a hard copy and digital, tell us how you want to do that so we can be more efficient as to how you want to receive your board packet. And I sent a preliminary agenda, and this is what Shane did the Friday before. I'm okay with any of it. I just want some feedback from you guys as to what you expect and what you prefer. So,
Me, email, no paper.
email,
Yep, no paper.
no paper.
I'd be digital as well. I would not hesitate with the hard copy at the meeting though, in case.
Yep, and we
something
talked-
goes
Yeah, just-
bad.
Or to have one, or have a couple here type of deal,
Well,
or
just have
have
a
one
couple
for
here.
everybody.
Yeah, just in
Have a couple
case.
here in case somebody's computer
Yes.
Okay,
I'm good with digital.
digital.
Yep, email is fine.
John, don't feel pressure.
After a few years on here, I don't feel too much pressure. I'd probably still like the hard copy.
Yep, perfect. I just want to know.
And
I
digital.
didn't see it on there.
So send it to you too? Yep, I have no issues with that. I just want to know, clarification. Jill, what would you prefer?
I like having paper, me personally.
Okay.
I like to be able to see it.
Yep.
I mean, you can send it digitally because you're sending to everybody
Right.
else, but I would prefer to have it in my
Okay, we'll
hands.
get that typically by Friday, prior to the Monday board meeting.
Because I can just print it, right? If you send it to
You
my
can,
email?
absolutely.
I mean,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
One question, is
Yes,
it possible to scan in color so that we can see the different color
Sheets,
too?
That would be great.
That's
if you scan
either
it.
above or below my pay grade. I'm not
Well,
that smart.
yes, you can, but then if somebody prints it out, it's gonna be a lot of color on your printer. Just tell you
Either
that.
that or it'll be shaded.
I mean, we can do whatever you guys want. Honestly, we could send it out, and then sometimes, John knows, it gets hairy getting it to you guys in time.
Well, 'cause Julie
If we had to
emailed
mail
and I was like, oh.
So what worst case scenario, we could do, have, email it out prior and have 3 copies for the ones that want them here printed. But right now we make 10 copies, 10 or 11 total
I don't need it till the meeting, but I want to have a hard copy in front of me at the meeting.
at the meeting.
Yeah, I don't need
And
it
then you don't even
before
need
the
to take it
meeting.
home?
No. Well, I don't know, maybe. It depends on
That's,
whether-
I honestly, we don't care at all. We're just asking the question.
just want
because it's
one at
new.
the
We've
meeting.
been doing the same thing for 17 years.
Then you don't have to worry about getting it to me.
Yeah. that's-
They did send it home with my kids, which do you have children in school?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. That worked for us. I mean, obviously not you, but worked
My
for
daughter
us.
would-
Sometimes it worked for Matt.
Sometimes.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I always got it, but they probably gave it to the right child. That's the difference.
Okay, that's all we wanted to know. So, you good?
I didn't. What did Matt said digital, Jed said digital, Lindsay said digital, Jill copy, and John copy?
But you don't have to get it to me. Just as long as I have it here, I'll take it digital so I can see it before. But once I get here, having it in
So
person.
John will get his to him the Friday before.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
And do you
I would
guys
agree
want
with
a
having
hard copy here?
Yeah.
Just in case my computer dies.
Well, and I do
Yeah,
think
I'll-
having it in
I like-
different colors and things
Well, it's easier to
highlighted
find
is
stuff.
really nice.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. I would like to review it myself online prior to coming, but
Yeah.
here, I like this.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It is
Yep.
nice to have it.
We can do that. All right, Mr. Norden, I apologize.
Yeah, boy, I won't be the bad guy anymore. I only got a couple different things. With the new idea, we're going to try and incorporate all the good news in with everything else, and we definitely got something in there. Our FCCLA chapter went to nationals digitally. Yeah, they didn't actually get to go this year, but they completed virtually. We had 2 of them actually win get first place nationally. Cadence Yunke and Amber Hof were first place in a chapter service project display, and Emma Yost and Kiana Hargens were first place in national programs in action. And I can't remember the last time we had a national first place. So that was great. We also had Arabella Brissett, Olivia Royston had 6th place in chapter and review portfolio. Karen Lynch got 4th place in career investigation, and Kenna Cronfirst had 13th place for repurpose and redesign. So all of our students did a great job at nationals as far as that went. And then the other thing I'm bringing up is the high school handbook. I'm really not changing anything this year. It's going to be the same thing that we had last year. So there isn't any changes I need to go over with you. Last year, if you remember, we made some big changes when it came to eligibility and that kind of stuff. And we also pulled out the semester test thing because of COVID and tying that to attendance and so on. So those were the big changes last year, and I think we need to stay that way. So
How did that eligibility process go?
they couldn't get out a semester test this year. Attendance-wise was much worse this year.
As far as sports eligibility, isn't that what we changed?
Oh,
last year?
yeah, that wasn't a problem at all. The academics, that was just the rules, and once I explained them, they knew what it was. No complaints on it. I think it's the correct way of doing it because it holds them responsible for all their classes throughout. So those were good.
Can you explain to our 2 board members about semester tests, or maybe they know?
Well, semester test right now is just everybody's got to take them except for seniors that have an A for the first semester, and seniors don't have to take them second semester. We did have a policy where if they had an A and fewer than 6 absences, they could get out of a certain number. Freshmen could get out of 1, sophomores 2, juniors 3, to try and encourage working a little extra hard to get it from that B to the A, and also to be here every day. But with COVID, and so we had kids coming in with 101 temps some days because they had 5 absences, which back in the day, we kept a few more of them here that probably should have been here. But with that whole situation, we had to get rid of that. And so, yeah, some of those things have gone down, unfortunately, but that's just kind of what we're dealing with. I wouldn't mind looking at somehow trying to massage a policy there because our GPAs also dropped a little bit. Just gave them another incentive to try and do better, but don't have anything specific at this point. So,
How's enrollment look?
Enrollment this year, right now, I think I have 3 or 4 more in the high school, for sure. And there's rumors of a couple more. I would guess high school wise we'll be up 5 to 10. I mean, 10 I think's a reach, but we'll for sure be right at that 5 range improvement. And I haven't heard of any losses of families moving at this point, so we'll be pretty steady, I think.
All righty.
Send me those placers.
Okay, elementary report. Summer school's up and running. We got that going. It's going pretty good right now. One thing I did want to talk with you guys about, Mr. Micken and I have had some conversations, just trying to get things figured out with busing and understanding kind of protocol of what's been happening. It's my understanding that currently we've been picking up begindergartners, and we started that last year, picking up begindergartners, and if a preschooler either had an older sibling or lived on the way of the bus, they would be picked up as well. And so what I'm hearing from the bus people who we're meeting with tomorrow, supposedly some of the feedback, I don't know who this feedback's coming from, but they don't like picking up the preschoolers. So
The bus people, meaning the drivers of the
yes,
bus?
yes.
Okay.
We don't know.
We don't know for sure, but the person that
Comment was made.
the comment
The question was asked.
Yes,
Okay.
Preschools, period, even if there's a sibling?
correct. But that's just kind of, so they're coming in to talk to us about what we think. I thought, the board has opinions on it, Mr. McKenna can.
I think if I can maybe throw a little bit of context to that, I know in the past when my kids were at that age, they didn't want to pick anybody younger than 5 up, even if they were in kindergarten, for whatever reason. They had
You don't
that.
know the reason why here?
I don't know if there was a liability issue or if they just decided that was a good number to start with. All kindergartners are 5, so we're going to start there, and they just didn't want to pick anybody up. But
How was it explained to me was just management. They think that anybody younger than that is hard to manage for the bus drivers,
Okay.
is how it was explained to me in a phone call. So,
Well, if they have especially if they have a sibling on the bus, it seems kind of funny that the parent would have to drive
Yeah,
one in, or alternate arrangements.
that would make it very difficult for especially in my situation, with both of us working in Mitchell, when Lakin gets to that age here in a few years, and 10-year-old older sister, I don't know, that would be a.
We'll listen to what the actual concern is tomorrow, and then we'll do everything we can to address their concerns as to what those are. But I think till we get a little more information, I agree. I mean, if we're going to the household and Timmy and Susie are on because they're of age, and little Johnny, oh, you can't get on. Okay, parent, you got to bring him in. Follow the bus, by the way. Just stay right behind me.
I mean, we want to encourage enrollment, not send people away.
Well, let us have the conversation. So we were just curious. I mean, just a little feedback. Just the initial, your initial reaction has told us enough as to maybe how you're thinking about it. So
Mr. Norton touched on his handbook. I reviewed the handbook that Mr. Yost had put together and went through that. I didn't have any big changes to that with year one. I'm just, trying to get things figured out and going through, and it looked good to me. So I'll have that posted on the website. I can get anybody a copy if they'd like to see it. But I didn't have any big changes, just a couple little typo revisions was all that I did with that. We got, at the end of the month, some stuff is starting to happen. So our class letters, that's a big deal every year. So just so you guys know, the class letters will be sent out by the teachers on the week of the 29th. So those are coming out. We have our registration day set up for August 9th. So I'll be here along with Christy, and we'll be in the office all day. People that need to register can come in if they haven't already done that. And then we have our workshop week coming up. So I just wanted you guys to know that's all happening, relatively quickly here. Workshop week is set for the week of the August 10th, 11th, and 12th. As far as our positions, we're still looking for 2 special education paraprofessionals. We have some applications, so I'm hoping to call some people and start those interviews next week probably. Got a pretty good list of candidates. I'm not sure, Mr. McKinney, if we're going to touch on the guidance counselor position. Did
we approved that contract.
So that was good.
So elementary, the counseling position has been filled.
Yep, we got that filled.
We were short a colony teacher yet.
Yep, and that was going to be my next one, is that we are still looking for our lower school elementary colony position, and looking for that still.
It's New Elm, I believe, right?
Yeah.
How much time was the elementary counselor? Like how much, was it a full-time?
Full-time position.
Yeah.
Is it
Yep.
full-time?
Yes.
Okay,
It
because
is.
Ashley didn't work
Right.
full-time,
No.
right? Yeah, I didn't
60.
think so. Okay, I just wondered, yeah, that's good.
Yep. So that was the elementary report.
Mr. Fisher brought up a couple different things that I need to add to. One, summer school's going good with the R home, so that's going great. We had that English opening, so we did some modifications there, which actually does affect. Ms. Norton is going to be teaching junior high science, and then Ms. Freeland, who was junior high science in English and journalism, is now going to teach the 11th grade English and 8th grade English for this year. So she's an English teacher, we have that. We have a science teacher that's qualified, but we are missing Spanish. I've called up to Northern, who offers a free high school course, and that was full in April. So there was no chance of us to even go there. We do have an option. It'll be going through Dial. So we'll have to pay. There'll be some extra funds for that, but not nearly the cost of a teacher. So
We were unable to fill that. Eric was unable to fill that position at this stage. I mean, he wanted to work on his schedule, get it set so he can move forward, made the decision, we'll end it. I mean, so we're no longer in the search for that particular position based on how he's restructured and reorganized that. So
Yeah,
we're moving forward.
Next year, we can relook at things
Yes.
and open up an English, Spanish position in January, and hopefully we could get, I don't know if you know anything about it. It's been a discussion topic for school boards for probably the last 8-9 years. The number of teachers available is dwindling fast, and there's probably still over 100 openings across the state for positions. It's really, really ugly. When we finally decided to go this route, there were 10 openings for just straight English, which included Sioux Falls and Harrisburg and Lenox and Mitchell. And for us to be able to compete with that is tough. So that's part of the reason why we can restructure with the class sizes we have, and that's why we went that route. So that was just kind of a, if you hear that there's some changes, that's what those are. But I'm extremely happy that we have highly qualified instructors teaching each of those courses. So we'll be good there.
Yeah, we didn't shortchange anybody. I mean, they all have it on their certificate, how
Right.
Mr. Norton restructured it. So it's not like we have somebody who's not
No.
meeting that qualification.
The one
teaching
thing
those
we
classes.
did lose other than Spanish is a halftime interventionist. Ms. Norton was going to do halftime interventionist. She lost that time to come teach junior high science.
So how long, so when she does that, she has to go over to the other side of the
She'll
school?
spend half a day at the high school end and half a day at the elementary end. But again,
Because
that's,
our 6th grade numbers, we only have one section.
Right.
So we have some flexibility there.
and my 8th grade section is one section. So like I said, for this 1 year, it just happened to fall perfect for us. We were able to do that. Next year, we'll have to make some changes. We'll have to hire or look, but we're down one instructor for this year, so.
And that interventionist was first going to look for then, or because that was with that was part of the
Mr.
requirement,
Shepherdson's gonna be doing it, and then depending upon what happens, you know, because elementary obviously is a little bit different. You know, we're block schedule up there. I know they have science every other day, and then English every day. If there's some downtime there, then Ms. Norton will also do some of that interventionist work there. But
To clarify, so you're not down a teacher in the whole school because Mr. Digman is back, so you gave
okay,
some help with the PE guys.
fine.
Just saying.
Yep. So, but yeah, we've been that's been probably the biggest change that we had to go through.
So with the interventionist, can you like just talk just briefly about like what that will look like or what?
Well, the math interventionist, we haven't really sat down and sketched it completely out. The math interventionist, which is Ms. Solik, I have her in the high school second period, both days. We've got to set up a schedule that's the same throughout because, you know, high school's every other day, elementary is every day. So I'm claiming her in the high school second period because that's our SRB day on orange days. Blue days, it'll be whoever she can grab, and that's kind of what she's going to do. She's just going to go through the SRBs or whenever kids have study halls, grab kids and work with them on math.
And that's every kid.
That's any kid that wants help, has questions, anything, yes. So if it's an A student that's struggling a little bit, just I need someone else to explain it, she's going to be there available so that they have somebody else possibly that they can go to or something along those lines.
Okay. And how will the students know that?
We're going to have that discussion at
Okay.
the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Fourth period, she'll be over at our home for half of that period. That's when Ms. Hobbick actually comes over here, so it works out really well in that sense. So she'll be able to work with the our home students there. The other two periods will be mixed with the elementary and going out to the colony and doing some things there. The one with Mr. Shepherdson and Ms. Norton, I can't speak 100%. I know the discussions have been they're going to be able to, when they're in their interventionist time, walk into classrooms and grab students to do what they need to do. And I think that's beyond math. That's going to be English and social studies or whatever else.
I think for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, that might need a little extra support or a little extra time on things.
And how will you know who that is?
Talking with teachers and coming up with identifying maybe who, if you missed a day or you're just maybe a little gap in the learning. And
Okay, so it's just by teachers' identification?
Right.
Does it go by a
And-
grade or anything like that?
At
or-
the high school end, the entire staff is, the math staff, I didn't worry about the English teachers, but the math staff was all, this sounds great. We can do this, we can do that, we can use her here. So they're all on board, so I think we'll have, when there's that kid that's frustrated, hey, why don't you go talk to Ms. Solik? And, I don't want it to be one of those things where we're undermining the ones that we have, but at the same time, if we can get that extra support, that's what it's all about, so.
Okay.
Okay. So that was my elementary report. Activities report. Summer programming resumes this week, so we had kids back training today. We're on that kind of dead period there over the 4th. July 22nd, I'm going to be doing a head coaches professional development. So the head coaches have agreed to come in. We're going to work from roughly 8 to noon and kind of go over purpose statements and talk about kind of an athletics mission statement that we can use to kind of guide the work that they're doing. So we're all on the same page, speaking the same language. So that we're going to be doing that. It's important, I just want to kind of, just so you guys know, this year all athletes need to have a concussion test, and we need annual physicals. So if you hear that popping up in the community, that's something that's brand new this year. So we really want to make sure that everybody is getting their physical and coming in for the concussion testing. So we're working with Mr. Kinnenberg. Next week we'll have the computer lab open. I'm going to be talking with coaches so that after workouts, if kids are in here, they can come in. It's about a 30-minute thing on the computer. They got to answer a few questions. So that'll be open. And then July 26th, which is a Monday, we'll be here all day open, labs open for anybody that wants to come in at that time. Ads are in the paper so that people can see that, and we're trying to get that information out to people. July 27th, we're going to do a fall sports kind of kickoff meeting. Try to bring in parents and athletes and just make sure we're all on the same page moving forward, going through some of the protocol things we have to talk about and making sure we're all on the same page. So we're going to be doing that on the 27th. That's again going to be in the paper so that everybody knows what's happening with that. And then fall sports are going to kick off on August 2nd. So competition cheer starts August 2nd. Football starts August 5th. Moving into the next week, you have, what do we got?
Golf.
Yep, golf is on the 9th, and then cross country and volleyball are on the 12th. So all that stuff's happening really quickly. So kids have been working hard. I think they're excited, and we're ready to go with that.
So our football schedule's all put together already?
Yep, all the schedules are set. State assigns the football schedule. All the other schedules are ready to go and should be good to go.
I like that you're meeting, I think that's a great idea, that you're meeting with all the coaches up front. I think I like that a lot. Thank you for doing that.
So one thing that we could maybe talk about in the future, because I would like it to be kind of a yearly professional development and just compensating the coaches a little bit for their time, just something for maybe the board to think about if that's something we think could be possible, so we can continue to grow. And I think a lot of times, coaches have great things that they're doing, but don't get a lot of time to talk about, like if a, basketball coach and maybe, the golf coach, they're maybe not interacting and sharing some of those ideas and all working towards a mission that we create. I think could be something kind of yearly, just once one time during the summer, I think would be kind of good to kind of build into the program. So,
Are there other things that, like, for outside of sports, like for other activities for those people that are leading those groups?
Yep, I mean, eventually I want to grow to get some of that going as well and try to kind of figure out the same type of thing.
Yeah.
So we're all working together.
Good.
Yep, with that same, working towards the mission of the school, but kind of having with activities, a mission with that too of what we're trying to accomplish and why we're doing what we're doing, so that we're not just worried about the winning and losing, the bigger purpose of those things.
Yeah.
So
Good, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to number 20, action items. Committee appointments. Committee appointments will be made for Delegate Assembly and alternate, Board of Equalization, Building and Grounds, Calendar, Personnel and Activities, Curriculum, Bid Opening, and the James Valley SPED Cooperative Board. So we have to go through and pick, right? Who's gonna do what?
essentially you assign people to those committees, so there's a delegate and then there's an alternate, same with equalization. Your buildings and grounds, some of these are new, so John's probably looking at it, maybe Matt and Jill too, like if you don't recall from a year or 2 years ago, haven't been on there, Greg and I talked about this a little bit, but some of these things are, I guess, a role and responsibility of board members to play a part in some of these committees, knowing that we have some potential things coming up, such as building and grounds, that there's some I guess some infrastructure that may be coming our way, or requests for infrastructure, coming our way from various groups out there. So yeah, so it's essentially, if you have those buildings and grounds, so you're a 5-member board, you can typically put 2 people on any one particular committee. You're not in violation of a meeting law or advertisement that you have to, because if it was 3 of you, technically you are a board. So we have to keep you separate and make sure that there's 2 or less in any one of those committees. So, and I don't know if those people were assigned in some of those last year, Craig, if we just have to go through and pick them. I mean,
they kind of just picked their own, and they've always been kind of the same ones, and there was only 5 of them, so it was just one.
What did you do? I can't remember.
Board of
Equalization.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't want that. So somebody else is gonna. I can't.
I'll be happy to do that, and I'd be willing to serve on the building and grounds.
okay. So let me explain some of these, Jed and Lindsay. So Delegate Assembly and an alternate. So there is a large meeting across the state of South Dakota in November. And what they do is they go as a school board member and they join other school board members across the state, and they set the legislative agenda for school boards. So that delegate, it's called the Delegate Assembly, so you have that person and an alternate. That in my years, that was like pulling teeth. I could never get anybody to go to that concept. And you'll hear more about it. Yeah, you'll hear more about it as the date grows closer. So it's essentially you go spend a day with other board members. They go through their, the associate school boards goes through all of their legislative points of view, and then who's ever there will collectively say yay or no at nay, and they adopt a platform, is what that is about. Board of Equalization, as John has referenced, is that why Jill doesn't want to be on it is because you go sit with other Hutchinson County, other city officials, you act as a school board, and people come in and yell at you because their taxes are too high, and they think their assessment is out of line. So that Board of Equalization can make determinations as to whether they think it's relevant or it's not. So that's not a well-liked typical committee.
The Delegate Assembly, we go through that as a board prior to you going,
yes.
And then you vote
Yep.
based on what our board wanted
Yes.
to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when those come out, we go through.
You don't have to make
we go through
decisions.
those points. Yes. Sorry, that's a great point, Craig. Buildings and Grounds Committee is that if we have some, we ever go into depth about building structures, buildings, things like that. We want to do a building project. So those people could play, you would act as the board membership on that, so the rest of the board doesn't have to have, we don't have to call board meetings all the time. You can be on that committee to report back to your other board members when that comes. Calendar, I understand that Shane had always invited people, Craig can say better than I did, about creating the calendar for one particular school year. That typically starts in January. I always try to get it done by February, March at the latest, to put it out. This is the way it's going to be. Or we ask people to have input, and then we present that. So there's not a lot to that, quite honestly, but having somebody's name on that, it's fine.
I do that,
Okay.
but you can do it if you want to.
I would take that on.
So
You can have it.
personnel and activities, that's more along the lines of, dealing with particular activities, conversations such as Mr. Fisher is kind of referencing even right now. If there's ever personnel issues, things like that, where it's not a well-versed, or not a well-utilized in my experience about having a board member. The fact that somebody is there when those particular issues arise, again, can speak on behalf of the board, or at least take information back to the rest of the school board. So You know, I don't know if anybody's desirable for that. Again, the regularity, it's not like these things meet once a month, they don't. It's as an as-needed basis typically. So whoever's name wants to be on that doesn't,
I could do that one.
okay.
Which one was that?
I'll do the personnel and activities. Unless you're dying to have that, or you are dying to have that.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm good.
Okay.
The curriculum committee, that's where Craig referenced about doing a whole new revamp of your curriculum resources. Let's say we were going to do a series in our elementary, we're going to switch ELA series or a math series, you know, and then there's that process that the principals involved, their staff in and looking at getting resources from different vendors and kind of just being present in that as a school board member and as a community member, parent even, as to whether there's input on that perspective or not. So that's really what that's about. So, and I don't know where we're at.
Right now, the teachers and the principals just kind of do it themselves.
Yeah.
So it's just to have a person.
Should I
They're
double up?
I can do that one.
Yeah, you can, well, it doesn't matter. You can do more than one, or, but, you know, I'd encourage you all to be on something, but whoever Jed wants to. If you're interested in that type of academic aspect and academic approach, yeah, I mean, if that's in your wheelhouse, that's your cup of tea, you know, so be it. So, the bid opening, I would probably couple that now that I'm looking at it. Craig and I talked about this, and maybe that's what
With the
our
grounds.
intent- Yeah, it would be in
That's what
that
I thought
building and
we-
grounds. So say you take a project out to bids, then eventually you'll have that person in that bid opening process. So you have a board member that's present at that. We just did that. They were building a bus garage up in Mount Vernon. So, and the board members were present at that bid opening and went through that process. And then
Just
James
make that
Valley,
one, right?
huh?
All three of them.
Yeah.
Building grounds.
So to
and
me,
bid
building
opening
grounds
committee.
and bid opening would be
And I
that.
got John down on that.
Essentially
Okay.
same person. And then your James Valley SPED, so you belong to the James Valley Special Education Cooperative. That's with Mitchell, Woonsocket, Sanborn. And they have monthly meetings, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig,
I
board
don't-
meetings.
Matt was
Matt,
on
did you
last
go?
year. Did you go?
I didn't know about monthly meetings. I was told there was an annual meeting.
Shane, I think, went to the monthly meetings.
Okay, so
Yeah, I
the
was
board
gonna
member
say
does
Shane
not.
did a lot of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, I
Wait.
was on that one last year.
Okay.
That's fine.
Where I'm from, Core down in Platte, there was board member meetings once a month, which, man, that made it difficult too, so, but anyway, that's what those are. That's what they're referencing. So,
we
Questions,
need the
I guess.
two.
When was that again? When was the delegate assembly?
it usually happens in November.
Okay. I can't do it. Sorry.
Do we have anybody for that delegate assembly?
No, those are the two.
Which one did you say?
Both of them. Delegate and the alternate.
Oh,
So right,
Do they
okay, let me
both
go
have
through
to
them, just
go?
make sure I have right.
just one person.
Lindsay, I have Lindsay on the calendar committee.
Yeah.
John on the representative is the representative on the Board of Equalization. Matt on the James Valley Co-op. John on the Building, Grounds, and Bid Opening. Jill on the Personnel and Activities Committee. Jed on the Curriculum Committee. Is that correct, what everybody had? So we just have those two.
I mean, I can be, I can do the delegate. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
By default.
I don't know what exact date, it's prior to Thanksgiving.
Typically it's the second or third Friday in November. I can't off the top of my head. And oftentimes it gets
You can
snowed
ask
out,
Jim.
so you don't even have to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sometimes it gets snowed out.
I suspect the meeting aspect of it, they usually meet in Pier, but I would anticipate, because of what COVID has done to us as far as meeting
Zoom
approaches, that would be something that they could very easily do. I think they like to get people in there just for conversation and having a little bit of, I don't know, not combative nature, but having a little going back and forth about what the agenda is going to be. Not you can't do that in a digital session, but it's a little difficult to do. But guys, if we end up, you put your name on and nobody actually goes, I'm telling you, you're going to join 50 other school districts who don't send somebody either. So
So you're gonna be the alternate, Jed?
Yeah.
So Jill's gonna be the delegate and Jed will be the alternate. Is that how we're going?
Or do you wanna do the opposite?
No, you go first.
I can tell already, he's gonna have to be told what he's doing.
No.
He's not gonna be like, I'll do that. That sounds great. Give that job to me. All right, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay. So I've got Jill as the delegate, Jed as the alternate, Lindsay, calendar, John, Board of Equalization, Matt, James Valley, John, building grounds and bid, Jill, personnel and activities, and Jed on the curriculum committee.
So you'll need a motion in a second to accept those
Well, we-
committee appointments,
Oh,
yes?
we just,
You can do them all
President
in one?
Nebel made the following appointments. That's how we've always done
Okay,
it.
perfect. Yep, that's fine. You can do that.
Okay?
So she told you you're doing it.
No, there was nowhere near telling anyone anything. I chose. All right. So you, under 20 says, set activity prices. With continued uncertainty about COVID and its potential impact on the extracurricular seasons, we will ask to have a discussion regarding how best to charge for activities for this school year.
That's why usually it's on one of the consent agendas. So last year we changed it, the activity prices for a per game basis didn't change. $3 for students, $5 for adults. But the activity passes, we went from $30 for a student to $15 and $50 for the adult to $30. With no, if they bought one, they were non-refundable.
I would say we go back to the way we had it.
30 and 50, and just be done.
Yeah.
And then the senior citizens have them as 32.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way it was before.
Yep.
Okay. And
Need a
take out
motion?
the. What about non-refundable? Do you want that wording in there?
It always was non-refundable, so.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So I'll move to set it back to the original prices.
And then and then just so you know, the double headers are 4 and 6. I mean, we don't. You guys don't want to change that or anything, do you? I wasn't.
We'll do what it was before, yeah.
50 for the adult, 30 for the other ones. Okay. So we got the following activity prices: $3 for students, $5 for adults, 30 for student activity pass, 50 for adult activity pass, 30 for the adult over 65 years of age for activity passes, and single admission to doubleheaders $4 for students, $6 for adults. Must present your pass to the ticket takers or you'll be asked to pay the individual ticket pricing for that evening's admission. All season passes are non-refundable. Sound good, Matt?
Is there a family pass? Great. Did you use that?
We've never had a family pass, no. We haven't. That's not saying we can't have one, but
Did you have
we
one?
haven't.
Did you have one in Mount Vernon?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
No.
What was the stipulations?
Essentially just if they were school-aged children and whatever the compilation or whatever the family looked like. We didn't argue that. I think it was $80, but it got you into everything throughout the course of the year. So, and we went last year because of COVID. I think those two, the board up there actually eliminated all fees for the simple fact they didn't know what that was going to turn into. And the last thing they wanted to do was argue with people about, well, I paid this and there were no activities, this and that. But yeah, I mean, I was just curious. I'm perfectly fine with what you got. I was just curious if you had one or not. So
What do we use that money for?
it goes in the general fund.
It goes in the general fund for the activities, basically. I mean, there's a budget on the revenue. There's a budget line for each. And as you'll see, if you looked at the history of the last couple of years, the activities, the amount of money we take in isn't close to the budget. I adjusted those a little bit, but with the camera and the TV, I mean, attendance is down.
So it helps pay for like uniforms and things like that.
Yeah. Just the supplies, the support.
Yeah, it's just in your overall budget of your
Yeah.
activities.
Yep.
So.
Greg, do you happen to know what we make off like the students? Close, you even have a general idea? Student pass, how much that is?
You're talking the totality, Mr. Norton?
Yeah, Mr. Fisher was wondering, to try and get more students here, what can we do possibly? He has some great
Oh,
ideas.
I don't have that, no.
Oh, okay.
I could tell you what we roughly take in activity pass money for that is bought by students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just activity. That doesn't include, most of the students don't, to be honest with you, a lot of students don't buy the student activity passes because if they're participating, they don't need it.
Right, yeah,
And
see, he was wondering,
so
if
there
could we
it's-
somehow waive that maybe and just let students come in and then, charge adults with activity
I'm just
passes.
wondering if it's a large amount of money that you would lose out on.
I think I have about 7,000 or 8,000 budgeted combined between adult and for the revenue side.
Two years ago, we removed any single game, it didn't matter. Students were free, K-12,
Free from our school or free from any school?
just our school.
Yeah,
Just our students.
if you can show it, like, you're a Parkston student.
Only for the same thing, to encourage kids to
Exactly.
There are barely any
attend
kids
the
who come to
event.
events. But I don't know that that's because of what you charge.
What's
Right,
that?
I don't know if it's ignorance
I
or
don't,
not, but if.
I don't think it's because of what we charge. I think they're
No,
just, kids are
no.
like overwhelmed with all the things in their lives, so
It's work.
they get a night away, they don't go to an event.
I agree.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what
I was just curious if it.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Free if it
Yeah.
would come more, I don't know. I was just.
New guy, new ideas.
Right.
It's always the new guy. Oh, it's always the new people. Yeah.
But you want to try to make
It's a
your
good idea,
atmosphere for
Adam.
the kids better.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good idea. What do you guys think?
I'm a better.
Where are we at on the adult pass again?
50,
And the student?
it's 30. So
If you just
that's
have a family
10.
and-
It's 10 events.
Yeah.
They have to come to more than 10 events to make it
Okay.
financially better than paying individually.
I mean, how much would it set us behind if we did like a family pass for $100?
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts?
And what is a family, kids? How many people is on a family? 4 or more, 3 or more?
No, whatever you
2
got.
or more?
Yeah, but
Family's a
However many
family.
you got. So
Under
they
one
all- we all
house,
come to
under
the
a
game.
household,
because
has to be living under the household.
you get
We didn't let the
$50
college
an hour.
kids
Yeah.
get in. We made
Yeah.
them pay. They weren't under mom and dad's auspices anymore. So the family pass meant K-12 students and mom and dad or whatever that
Maybe do
whatever that was.
Yeah, maybe you do 120 for a family pass and be.
I mean, technically, even, you said it was, if you did even 150, if you've got more than one kid,
If you,
like,
yeah.
to me,
How
that's a
many are you
deal.
gonna attend, right, Jed? I mean, that's really the crux. But
That is.
I think we were, when I said we had $85, I think, is what we charged for a family pass, and that was if you had 8 kids, mom and dad, then that cost you $85 for the year.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
came to whatever you.
I have people write $200 checks for activity passes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
I was gonna say that would save me money, but,
Mm-hmm.
what, I kinda like the idea of students not paying though,
Mm-hmm.
at all, ever. I'm not opposed to that. What do you think, Matt?
I don't know that it's gonna make a huge impact monetarily one way or the other, so
It's probably not a big line item. I mean, we knew as a board over the years that when we start filming and stuff.
Yes, that's
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
so we're trying to get more people, the younger people there by doing this maybe.
So we knew we'd lose some revenue because you'd have a certain amount of people who just watch at home. And that, it still probably gets them involved in the community, and it doesn't really support us monetarily here. So,
You'd have to ask yourself, what's your rationale for doing that? I mean, if you're gonna let kids in free, is it to get them excited about coming, or if that's the main reason to try to get them here, or if it's not a money issue? I mean that's really the only rationale for doing that. If you're not gonna, it's not gonna cost you anything, a great deal of money, if it's not gonna benefit you either. I mean, that's where you just have to decide.
So right now, it's still the motion on the table was the $50 for the adults,
Yeah.
$30 for the students. I think you still gotta leave the 3 and 5 in there, and the 4 and 6, because you want to charge the opposing
Right.
students, so. And then just maybe a line that would say,
Could we table it?
That's what I was just
Yeah.
thinking.
And then think about it and do something
Absolutely.
next month? If we want.
yeah, there'd be nothing prior to next,
No, that'd be awesome.
We'll think about it a little
It'll
bit.
be
not prior to
the
August
board meeting.
12th
It'll
or
be after that,
13th.
so-
What's the first?
When is sign-up days though? Do people usually buy their pass? That's usually when I buy my passes on sign-up day.
It'll be-
Is it the 9th?
Well, our board meeting's August 9th. That's registration day.
That's usually, I think that's when a lot of people buy them. Well, that's when I buy them anyway. I don't know what other people do, but yeah.
I'm gonna ask Megan, see what Mitchell does on that one, because she'll
Yeah.
know.
What do you guys, what do you think? Do you think we should wait or do you?
Well, and here's the other thing is I was gonna set up where they could purchase the activity passes like they do their lunch money too,
Mhm.
online.
So maybe we just don't sell any until after the first board meeting or the next board meeting to
Yeah.
decide what we're gonna do. And I'd encourage any community feedback. I think that'd be great too, to have other people's feedback on, you know, if somebody has a preference or a thought about not making kids pay, adults still can have an activity pass.
Well, in a sense, if you were gonna do a family pass, that's more or less letting 2 or 3 kids in free anyway. This way, you know, your family pass, if you charge that $100, well, that's both parents pay and the kids are in free. So if you're thinking family pass is a good idea, in a sense, this would also follow that line.
That's a good song, Craig. I like that. Is that your fave?
My thought is just exactly what Mr. Micken said. I mean, if the board, if you guys are looking to make money on, you know, the students, then I totally understand that. But if we're not, then, you know, if it keeps even a couple kids from coming, you know, if you have that financial hardship, you know, if you're in that position, you're probably not gonna come with your friends and take the chance of getting embarrassed, you know.
So our choices are for next meeting, just to think about, would be having a family pass, kind of what we want to make that amount for, or just doing the adult pass and then having kids get in free from our
Parks and
school.
K through 12 students.
So just think about that, and maybe guys will get feedback from other people in the community too. Okay, that's good. All right, we'll move on to.
Do we need a motion to table that?
You should, yes.
Okay,
Yes, that's what I thought.
need a motion.
Also move.
Moved by Prohl and second by Schoenfelder. To table that till the August meeting. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, the next thing is set school lunch prices. Our recommendation is to freeze the prices.
I think you probably heard enough evidence already on that, where your food service fund, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We're fine.
we put it on there just so you guys had input on that. If we recommend leaving them alone at this stage of the game, so.
Okay, I need a motion
Yeah.
to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Leishner and second by Weber to approve the following lunch price for the 21-22 school year. Breakfast reduced rate 30 cents, milk 40 cents, preschool through 6th grade $2, 7 through 12 $2, and adult $2.60. The lunches, the milk will be 40 cents, reduced price is 40 cents. Preschool through 6 is $2.85, 7 through 12 is $3.05, additional entree $1.25. Adults $4, salad bar only $3 for those who work in the facilities. Even though all meals will still be free for all students, we're still gotta set the price for what we would charge for a meal.
Okay.
Okay. And so, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, next thing on the list is set preschool fees. With continued uncertainty about COVID and its potential impact on the pre-K setting, we will ask to have a discussion regarding how best to charge for the PK program in the event of COVID complications.
If we leave this the way it was last year.
Which is what, just say
It
what
was
it was.
10 payments last year in the amounts of $65 for the month of August, $130 for the months of September through April, and $65 for the month of May. Now it is said in there, should the district close due to COVID-19 only, parents will be given the opportunity to continue or discontinue the services. If services are discontinued, the district will reimburse at $16.25 per day of closure. So that's what the cost was per day, roughly, averaged out. So I just leave it as is, like it was last year.
I think so.
This clarifying that 65 in August and the 65 in May helped tremendously. Before it was 9 payments of $130. Well, people, didn't understand the partial August and partial May deal of. So we just cut it in half for those 2 months. So.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion for that.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, Craig.
Moved by Schoenfelder, signed by Pohl, to set those prices for preschool. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, anybody have anything else?
Last one, we got X on there. Tuition.
The addition.
Oh, where is it?
It's that sheet,
Oh, this one?
yes, right there.
All right.
It was handed out when you got here.
So proposed tuition rates for 21-22 school year.
I'll let Craig speak to what this actually is, and it has to do with our home.
Yes.
So,
There's students at our home that are placed here by a certain way that they are not considered enrolled in the Parkston School District. They are still, the state aid money is still being sent to their residing school district that they came from. And so we then turn around and charge that school district because we're educating them during their time here in Parkston. And it's just the daily rate of what the auxiliary placement sets this $78.37 for level 1 per day. And that's what we would get paid if the student that was in our home was placed by the state. So we're charging the district the same. And it's very, 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 it's within sense of, every school district's daily amount that they get from the state for enrolled kids is different because it's all based on their number of teachers that they have, their school size, and all of that stuff. And small school.
It's your student-teacher ratio.
Yes.
That it
Yep.
dictates how much you can
So there's
claim
no
a kid
just
for.
magic number that it is. So we just follow what we get for those other kids that are there, and make it the same. And it's like I said, it's within $1 or $2 a day of the same of most schools. So that's where level 1 came. Level 2 is a little higher because level 2 means they're on a different level on the SPED side, because these are for kids that are placed also on an IEP. And then it's just the difference, that general amount, and then the other amount would go, a portion of it would go into SPED for $1 or $121.76 per day. Level 3 is $148.32 per day. Level 4, that's not that heady. $1,126. It's $126.14 per day. Level 5 is $225.29 per day, and level 6 kid would be $84.34 per day. And our home needs these so that they can start doing their agreements with their school districts, so we can get those all ready for the beginning of the
So
year.
who determines the level, Craig?
The level, that's all on their IEPs. It's a code, it's SPED codes.
Yeah, so those levels that you see on there are dictated based on a student's designation as to what their disability category is. So once that is established on the IEP, then there's going to be a level in which that disability category falls into. Somebody who's autistic is going to be of a higher level.
So do our home students that we're educating, and they don't fall under our student enrollment numbers?
Not all of them. It depends on how they're placed. And last year, or at the end of the year last year, it changes monthly. It was 7 districts I was billing each month.
So where
Out
would
of the
they come
35
from?
kids.
Whatever.
And how they were placed.
So if they're state appointed,
Yeah.
court appointed, parent appointed, all have a dictate as to how much
Which way
stipulate.
it gets coded and who bills who and what. If you get to count them on count day or not.
I was just trying to wrap my head around whether, when we look at some of the, size of our school, number of students, the spreadsheet you give us with the amount of students, and we're comparing, teacher salaries and whatever, do we have to, I mean, we have to take that into account that some of the students we're educating aren't on that list?
That felt like our enrollment last year was 529.
Right.
That was all the students that were enrolled in the Parkston School District. So that did not include those 7 kids that I billed, because they were on Avons or Trips or Salem's.
They were their ADM count.
Their count. So they're getting the money from the state, but we're educating them. So on a per day basis, we bill them for the number of days that they're here.
But that's decided by the state, or we get to decide that? We
The
set that?
amount?
Yeah.
The amount, yes, is,
This right
Set
here,
by
we're
the
setting.
state.
No, well, we're following what we get.
Right, but we could change it if we wanted.
Yeah, you could charge whatever you wanted, but our home might not get kids placed there anymore.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, when you're asking someone to make a decision, it's like, well, why are we making the decision? Can we do what we want, or is it just the state decides that we do it?
And those 225, so that basically is pretty darn close to what Avon, for instance, is getting from the state. And we're just taking that on a per day basis because we're the ones educating it right now, not them.
All right, so we just need a motion to approve the
Those
proposed
rates.
tuition rates for
yes.
21-22 school year.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Weber and second by Leishner. Any other discussion?
Craig, the amount of kids there, or maybe Mr. Mickens would know too, but there's roughly, what, about 35 kids? Am I right?
They have 35 beds, so are they always full?
Yep,
No.
35, yeah.
You know, and they do their best to have them full as close as they can on that last Friday.
Gotcha.
But, you know, it dictates on how many kids are.
But you got kids
Need a
coming and
place.
going in
Yep.
and all the time, so.
Okay,
You know, we don't always have control of that now.
understand.
Okay. All right, anything else?
We need to vote on that, yeah?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right. All right,
We
then
might have survived.
we made
And
it.
again, there's
We
no
lived.
executive session there,
Yep.
and then
Okay.
it's just adjourned, so.
All right, so I need a motion to adjourn, correct?
Yep.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Leishner, second by Prohl to adjourn at 8:53. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.